another video. So, this is the Pythagorean Theorem. The Pythagorean Theorem, well, you guys had the Pythagorean Theorem before. You learned it in junior high. And we've used it randomly throughout the school year, but nobody ever really does well on it. And then in the last unit, where you guys did an assignment, a couple of assignments, the quadrilaterals, some of the kites and rhombuses, rhombi, whatever, they used Pythagorean Theorem to find one of the sides of the little triangles in the quadrilateral. So I thought it would be a good time to review Pythagorean Theorem. It will be on your next test. So yeah, we are reviewing something that you've learned before, but I think you need it. So we're doing Pythagorean Theorem. We're going to take it a little bit deeper than what you've learned before. Okay? Pythagorean Theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Oh, let me switch to the visualizer. There we go. Document camera. There we go. So, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. The only thing important in that whole thing is that c. That c is always the hypotenuse. It's always the biggest side, no matter what. C is always the hypotenuse. The right angle always points to c. It's always an arrow that points to c. Okay, that right angle points to that c. So we have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. This is the only side that could go here. A and B, they could switch. They're both legs. They both go, they're added. So there's no difference in them if you switch their spots. So we could have b squared plus a squared equals c squared. The only thing that's important is that c squared is alone on that side. So when you have three numbers, the biggest one is always your hypotenuse. Example 1 here, we have a triangle. And it would help to know what our C is. So if you look at the right angle is an arrow that points to C. That means this is your C. That means these two are A and B. It doesn't matter the order of A and B, as long as you know that this is C. So I have a squared plus b squared equals c squared. So 9 squared plus x squared equals 11 squared. Or I could write x squared plus 9 squared equals 11 squared. The 11 squared is the important thing. The other two, they can go in either order. Okay, so on your assignment, you're going to have to put this equation in. Make sure you use your equation editor to make your exponents, but it'll count it correct as long as you have these in these two spots. You could write x squared and then 9 squared. You could have 9 squared and then x squared, as long as 11 is over there. Okay, so this is the order you want to type it though. The two things being added, squared and added first, then your c on the other side. Okay. Once you do that, you can solve it. So order of operations, doing the exponents. 9 squared, 81. Equals 11 squared, 121. Okay. We got to get 81 to the other side. Okay. So I have x squared equals, so my calculator, I have 121 minus 81, I want to say is 40, and I'm right. Okay. 40. Okay. Since x is squared, we get to do the square rooting on both sides. Now, 40, we have to, it's not a perfect square. 36 is, but 40 is not. 49 is, but 40 is not. So we have to break it down and see if anything breaks out of the radical. So I have 4 times 10. 4 is 2 times 2. 10 is 2 times 5. I've used them, so I cross them out. I have a pair of 2's right here. So I'm going to find x equals the pair of 2's, break out, and inside the radical we have this 2 that could not break out. Only twins break out. So if there's triplets, there's going to be one left behind. Okay, and then this 5 breaks out. So 2 times 5. Because we're unmultiplying when we make this, then we remultiply when we put them back together. So I get x equals 2 radical 10 is your official answer for x. Okay. So we're going to do a little bit of review for a second. We need to determine if 3 numbers make a triangle. So we actually did this, when was it? March 3rd. So for right now it's last month, but when you're watching it, it was like 2 months ago. Okay, so hinge theorem, not hinge theorem, not that, actually above here. So it wasn't March 3rd, it was March 2nd. Sorry, my bad. This is the problem. We were able to figure out 2 sides of a triangle, the range of the third side. If you're given 2 numbers, then what you do is you subtract the 2 numbers, and that's the smallest it can be, or it has to be bigger than that actually. And you add the 2 numbers and it has to be smaller than that. Anything outside of that range, including the 2 numbers that are there, are not numbers that make a triangle. So on your assessments, or not assessments, on your assignments, you're going to have one problem where they give you 2 numbers. So it's going to say like 2 and 8. Let's say that's 2 and 8. And then it'll give you a list of numbers, and it says which one does not make a triangle with 2 and 8s. Okay, so what you do is you take 8 minus 2, which 8 minus 2 is 6. Then you do 8 plus 2. 8 plus 2 is 10. Okay, so that third side can be anything bigger than 6, not 6. Bigger than 6. So 6.1 would be fine. But bigger than 6 and less than 10. So that third side could be 7, 8, or 9, basically. Or all the decimals in between there. So on the assignment, you're going to have one question where it's going to give you that. And it's a multiple choice question. So you just add and subtract and choose the number that does not fall in between the 2 numbers when you add and subtract. Okay? Alright, back to the actual lesson. The new stuff. Okay. So determine if 3 numbers make a triangle. You take the 2 smaller numbers. Remember, C is always the biggest side. Okay? C is the biggest side. So you take the 2 smaller numbers and they have to add to greater than the third number. C is always the longest side. Okay? Types of triangles. There are acute triangles, right triangles, and obtuse triangles. Okay? So to figure it out, we're going to do these in a little bit different order. We're going to take our C first. Okay? And then do our A squared plus B squared after. And we just have to figure out what goes in between them. And then if C squared is smaller, it makes the smaller kind of angle, which is acute. If C squared is equal, then it makes a right triangle, because that's right. Equal is right. And C squared is, if C squared is bigger, then that's obtuse, because that's a bigger type of angle. Okay. So, example 2. Move the camera a little bit. Okay. So first off, we have to figure out, do the given sides form a triangle? So first, identify what your C is. Okay, my C is 9. 7, 8, 9 is the bigger number. Okay. So to figure out if they form a triangle, you take 7 plus 8, which is 15. And then you check, is 15 greater than 9? Yes, it is. Okay? So it is a triangle. Now we have to figure out what kind of triangle. So we do our formula. I don't know what to put here, so I'm going to leave that blank. So I have my C squared, which is 9 squared. My A squared plus B squared. Leave a blank. Okay? Leave a blank. So I have 81 I don't know what goes here. But here's 49 plus 64. I'm going to keep 81 there, so there's nothing to do there. 49 plus 64. 113. Put the inequality in between them that fits. 81 is smaller. That means Pac-Man is not going to eat the 81. Pac-Man is going to eat the 113. Since since 81 is smaller, c squared is smaller, that means it's acute. That would be your official answer. Okay. So looking at part B. Okay. First we have to figure out, do the given sides form a triangle? Okay, so obviously 6.2, 13.8, both smaller than 20. So this is our C. So 6.2 plus 13.8. I'm not great with decimals, so I have to add them. Equals 20. So the question is, 20 bigger than 20? The answer is no. It is not a triangle. Since it's not a triangle, I don't need to find out which kind of triangle it is. So my job is done there. Okay. Now that is rare. It usually happens once in any time. So it's rare. Okay. Now this. If there's radicals, they're going to be in order, and it's going to be a triangle. You don't have to check if that's a triangle, but just for argument's sake, we can check if it's a triangle. If I have 2 radical 3, so 2 times the square root of 3 equals 3.46, and then 2 plus radical 3. So I'm going to do this one in pencil. So 3.46. Okay. Okay. So radical 3 plus plus regular 2. So let's do radical 3. Radical 3 is, and then add 2. That is 3.7. So 3.7 is greater than 3.46. So it is a triangle. Okay. Use calculators. Calculators are involved. Calculators are always helpful. Okay, so now that we know it is a triangle, we can go on and find out what kind of triangle it is. So what kind of triangle? Well, C is always the biggest. Okay. 2 times radical 3 ended up being 3.46, but this was 1.7, so, and that was 2, so this is bigger. C is 2 radical 3. So what we do is we put a parentheses, 2 radical 3, that whole thing is squared. Leave verb blank. A squared plus B squared. Okay. When we square 2 radical 3, we are going to square that 2. We are also going to square that radical 3. So that is basically 2 squared is 4 times the square root of 9. What is 4 times the square root of 9? Well, what's square root of 9 is 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. Okay. Radical 3 squared. Radical 3 times radical 3 is radical 9. The square root of 9 is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7. 12. Well, Pac-Man would want to eat 12 more than it would want to eat 7. 12 candies are better than 7 candies, right? So then it goes this way. So if we look at our key here, greater than is obtuse. So our triangle is an obtuse triangle. Okay, and if it ended up being equal, we would write right triangle. I don't have any more examples. This is the last example for this assignment. So this is the Pythagorean Theorem assignment. You're doing the Pythagorean Theorem over and over again. This is still using the Pythagorean Theorem. It's just using the Pythagorean Theorem to find out if it's a right triangle, or if not, what kind of triangle it is. So good luck on these assignments, and remember to use our office hours on Tuesdays and Thursdays if you need help, or email if you need help. Okay, have a good day.